The picture of Mays.
I really love this picture that I took of Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays because it shows him in a very casual attitude, and most people think of him as very stern, and he was. He was a very serious person. He was an author. He was a refugee from Klan-haunted rural Georgia, and in that particular picture, I think it shows Dr. Mays' real human side, in that he was talking to somebody on the phone and just having a thoroughly good time of it. And Dr. Mays had a wonderful sense of humor. And one time when the Atlanta Board of Education, which hired him as superintendent after he left Morehouse, they had a birthday party for him, and it was a surprise. He walked in, they all started singing "Happy Birthday to You," and he started conducting as though he were leading the chorus and singing "Happy Birthday." And he was one of my very favorite Atlantans. I'm very happy with that picture.
Here's a picture here of the Kings. You don't hear much from Daddy King, and there's Alberta, his wife, and stuff, and then young Martin, the third at the time. But Daddy King was one of Atlanta characters himself, that we don't hear much about anymore in terms of the role that he played, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes before the civil rights movement got going.
Right. Well, Daddy King was a colleague of the late and thoroughly great William Holmes Borders, who was more militant than Daddy King. Daddy King was someone who took part in a boycott of the city buses, the Metropolitan Atlanta bus system, in 1957. And this was 1 year after the successful completion of the Montgomery boycott, and that ended in 1956. And so Daddy King almost went to jail for that boycott of the city buses. Reverend Borders actually did wind up in jail. There's a famous photograph of Dr. Borders in jail. But for some reason, Daddy King did not pursue it to that extent. Daddy King would always say, "Now, my son was nonviolent, but I was not. If you punched me in the face, I'd hit you right back." And that was the Daddy King.
Now, I'm looking here at the transition of Maynard Jackson and Sam Massell, the first Jewish mayor and the soon-to-be, the first black mayor who was vice mayor at that time. What kind of relationship did they have back then? Do you know? And what was that picture taken about?
Well, the picture actually was at a very tense time in their relationship because Maynard was running for mayor, and Sam Massell was putting forward some very hard-hitting, and some people say nasty, advertisements against Maynard Jackson, saying if Atlanta elected Maynard Jackson, then Atlanta faced extinction. In fact,
Atlanta is too
young to die.
Right.
And even some of Sam Massell's supporters said that you've gone a little bit over the top. And I think that caused a lot of people to vote for Maynard Jackson because they saw this whip-smart African-American candidate for mayor who they would not mind as their mayor. And that Maynard could have made a very good mayor, and Mayor Jackson did turn out to be one of the legendary mayors. And I think Sam Massell really deserves some credit for everything up until that point, because almost everything in his record was very progressive and very sensitive to the needs of low-income Atlantans.
A person that's also sort of been lost in Atlanta history is this man Samuel Williams, who's Sam Williams played a very pivotal role in Atlanta becoming Atlanta also. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, Reverend Sam Williams was a professor of philosophy at Morehouse. In fact, when Dr. Mays tickled Martin Luther King's interest in nonviolence, it was Dr. Sam Williams who filled it out and who talked about the Hindu spiritual force, the spirit force that Hindus had, that Gandhi used to drive the British out of their colony, India. And Dr. King was very interested in that because he drew parallels between the British colonization of India and what whites were doing to black people in the South. And Dr. Williams became the first director of the city's Community Relations Commission after the assassination of Dr. King. And Ivan Allen thought of one person who could possibly bridge the white and the black communities at this time when cities all over the country were going up in flames at fury and anger and rage. And the only person he could think of was Dr. Samuel Williams to be the head of the Community Relations Commission. He incidentally was married to a young lady named Billy. After Sam Williams died, Billy married a very famous baseball player named Hank Aaron, and Billy became Billy Aaron.